Welcome to the Kent Lapp Podcast.
I have not heard, I don't think once, of any information or read in a paper or heard on any podcast or anything where because of this study that we've been doing since 2014 or before, here's what we learned about it and here's what we implemented when this thing broke. It was as if we didn't know anything about this.
It's not just that study. I mean, we're spending, hundreds of, just the U.S. alone spends $700 million a year on the WHO. Then what about the CDC's budget, the NIH's budget, everybody else? And then when this thing rolls out, they come up with all these guidelines. And then you look at what research they have, for example, around masks. It doesn't come close to replicating how humans use masks or how we. So you mean to tell me we spend all this money, but we never bothered to figure out? Okay, let's see how these things transmit based on. Let's just categorize it based on size and how airborne they are. Whatever. There's no research. We put hamsters in a cage and put a screen between them. That doesn't equal breathing, the square footage of the room. And then you can look at that across all of there. We come up with all these guidelines. I mean, Nashville admitted at some point that the very few of the transmitted cases were happening at restaurants and bar. But at first, that's where they went out, and shut those down. Mm-hmm. It turns out that it's people's homes that are more responsible and construction sites. Who would have thought? But, so we had so little for all this money that we're spending. You would think we would have better protocols.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I just don't. I can't come up with a very good plausible explanation for that.
Right out of the gate, I mean, it's proven that we were really ignorant in how to treat this thing. I mean, you see that by the inflow of the ventilators, and turns out that your chances of survival getting put on that ventilator drop dramatically. I personally know somebody who was put on a ventilator, and going back and looking back, and the discussions that we have were, had he not been put on that, I think he probably could have pulled through it. But that was just sort of our immediate response of putting these people on it, and it has this tremendous impact on the body. So to your point, it's like, if we're studying this thing for so long and the impact that it has, for us to coming out of gate, it seems like we were really behind the curve on understanding and on what we should do. Mm-hmm. We got there. We started within 6-7 months, we started figuring out that these are kind of, okay, this is what we could do. Here's how we provide it. But then that even became political.
That's right.
The hydrochloroquine comment from Trump.
Yep.
It's proven that it does have some benefits. Yep. There's people that have supported it because Trump said it. Let's push that. That's not good.
Yes.
Anything coming out of his mouth, let's put it in this pot over here as not reasonable, factual advice.
I think and that's kind of the way our political system works too. I mean, whatever position one party has, the other party takes the opposite position no matter what. It's just like we're gonna, the minute Trump shut down travel to China, he was criticized for that.
Good point.
And it's not just Trump. It's what it's on. You cannot be a good person if you believe in legal immigration. I mean, that's repeated all the time, right?
Yeah,
so,
you want to make these jumps on taxes. You want to make these jumps on individual rights, things like that, to politicize it. Okay, no problem. But when we're talking about a global situation where lives are at stake, it shouldn't be politicized.
That's right.
It shouldn't. You made the comment earlier about never let a crisis go to waste. Never let a good crisis go to waste. At this level, transparency and honesty, I don't care what your political party is, should be at the forefront, because your life's at stake as well, your family's life's at stake as well. But it seems like the way that we've evolved in this and how we've gotten so politicized in every aspect of it, that we're now treating these crises in the same in the same fashion. It's just really concerning. Is really an understatement.
I agree.
Because if we're willing to do it at this level, what aren't we willing to do it at? And then depending on what camp you are, you just start to distrust anything out of this camp, but it could have been vital information that could have helped solve the problem. I really wish that we could get to a level of, I don't think we'll ever be able to avoid this political environment that we're in, to where we've got these multiple camps. Mm-hmm. But I would love for us to get to a point where we can take these sort of uniting moments, like 9/11 was a great example. There was no political lines after that event. You know, taking these, I hope that we're able to come together in events like this and share and be upfront and honest and not have ulterior motives for what we want to follow and investigate and research. But I don't know. I don't know if we can go back.
See,
I think
that's
is the new normal.
You know,
See, and that's very concerning, because if this is the new normal, when there's attack from the outside, whether it's by accident or on purpose, and we can't rally together against that attack, that's a problem.
Huge problem.
That's a huge problem.
Divide and conquer. There's so many things that we've talked about
Yep.
here, and a lot of you can circle back to like 5 different issues. It's like that's kind of a divide and conquer scenario.
Yep.
Many U.S. historians point to Vietnam War and Watergate as changing moments for the American psyche and how they thought about their government, because prior to that they were more naive, more accepting of their government. So that happened, at that point. Is it possible that now that we moved that trust out of the government, sort of become, but then we moved it into, we trust our media, we trust our journalism, we trust our open society to flush these things out, and now we've reached a point where we're now waking up to the fact that all these things can be manipulated too? Maybe this is just
Okay.
another
Absolutely.
wake-up
Okay.
call.
All right.
Vietnam, Watergate. Now we're waking up to this is a sort of a realization, and accordingly, the same way with trade. I think we're waking up to the fact that, hey, this is being gamed on us.
Okay, I like that. That sounds a little bit more optimistic, because if we're waking up to some of those things, which the internet did expedite that. I mean, without the internet, how would we have ever known to mistrust mass media?
If you look, even like some of the shows coming up on, about social media and how people are being manipulated by it, we've become much more aware of the fact that we are manipulated.
Yeah, but I'm with you. But I think that the amount of people that have, quote unquote, taken the red pill and woken up and have sensed it, I feel like they're in the minority on this. I still feel like the vast majority of people don't understand that these outlets are. I mean, look at what's just happened in the last year with big tech and how they're silencing particular groups and things like that, just because they don't agree with it. They feel like it refutes a narrative that's playing out there. So now you've got these policemen. I would say the minority are like, hey, Twitter snuffed that out. Why are they silencing this guy? We need to hear his opinions, whatever.
Yeah.
But the other majority of people are just going on about their day, and they don't understand, and they pop up their Twitter and are reading it, and they've just got this echo chamber of their own points, and they're just not seeing any outside views on it.
Yeah, but that's how movements change. I mean, at one point, the earth was flat to a lot of people. And even though one guy came along and convinced a few people that it wasn't, it took a very long time for people, including the Catholic Church, to believe that the world wasn't flat. So,
But our outlets for communication are what we're talking about. I agree with you 100% when we're talking about a subject like the earth that's provable and we can produce the information on it.
But I'm talking
But
about
what I'm
the
saying is
attitudes.
what the issue on the table is the form of communication in itself. We're saying, a minority of us are saying, hey, this is manipulated. This content, your education, the things that you're learning from this particular communication system, whether it be News, CNN,
But it's
MSNBC,
showing up. It's showing up in
manipulated.
surveys. It's showing up in surveys. Like, it used to be that journalism had a very high reputation, and you asked people, you trust, ABC, CNN, whatever, you'd get like a 60, 70 something percent trust factor, and now that's plummeted. Just like it looks
Right.
very similar to do you trust the congressman from the other state?
Sure.
So
or are they going to Alabama and asking somebody, hey, do you trust CNBC? No, 0%. Well, what about Fox News? 100%. Same thing in
Right.
California.
But
So,
Yep.
I mean, we've heard it too. It's like, all I read is the Washington Post. Everything else is garbage. It's like, I don't know. If you look for outside sources to refute a lot of stuff that they're pushing. So it's almost like you've got to take in.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're asking the normalized American now that has, if they got kids and all this, they've got this small window to educate themselves. It's like, well, to properly educate yourself, We're going to need you to go through multiple sources. You need to watch CNN. You need to watch Fox News. You need to read the Wall Street Journal. You need to read the Washington Post. And then you need to go through all that data and shit and then sort out your own opinion from
That's
that.
right.
Spin.
Yeah,
It's
and
just
that's
an
crazy.
unreasonable thing
That
to
is
ask.
unreasonable. It really is.
Spin is a form of brainwashing. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
control of information, right? Who are we talking about right now? Are we talking about the United States or China?
Well, we're talking about the United States with how we have a distrust of media. I see what you did there. You got me.